Welcome everyone to another episode of Coffee with Coach. My name is Mo Melhart. I am the head women's volleyball coach here at CSUMB. And today my guest is none other than head water polo coach, Emily Schmit. Welcome, Emily.
Thanks, Mo. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier today that you and I kind of joined the Otter Athletics team at the same time. And that's like kind of a cool connection that you and I can only share because we were the only two that came on board like around that same year, right? Wasn't it?
I think you were 1 year
Like
ahead of me.
I think like the summer before you got here.
Yeah.
Or something. But yeah, we've definitely, our programs have grown up together, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see our teams kind of connect and push each other and support each other. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and now a lot of them live together or have lived together and are roommates. And I do think something that's really cool is that our teams both are in the weight room at very similar times, which has been really cool to watch. Land otters and water otters lifting together. I find that's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. And completely different programs.
Yeah.
In order to support both of their sports. But
yeah, we were talking earlier, about the last year and everything that's gone on, and you shared a little bit at our event, A Night with Otter Athletics, about some of the unique struggles, or let's call them challenges, that water polo players have faced, specifically here, and not having two seasons, I guess now. Take me back a little bit and what this year has really been like for you, for your program, and then kind of how you guys are coming out of it as we look forward to coming back in person and competing and stuff in fall of 2021.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know. We were the last MB team to play. We had a huge win against a conference opponent. We were super excited to continue on and play the rest of our conference schedule, and then we get shut down. And I think I mentioned in the Night with the Otters that we were really fortunate. We had one more practice after we found out that our season was going to be over. So we got to celebrate our seniors. That was the class of 2020, that one last practice. And then, it was the hope that we were coming back. And so how do we stay motivated? And very shortly after that, we lost access to all pools.
Right.
All the pools closed. So athletes were left without water when we're left without a team in a team sport and left without water in an aquatic sport. So a lot of creativity, having to find different ways to stay in shape, to try and activate the same muscle groups, to mimic what we would do in the water on the land. And then, finding out we're not coming back, and then, the hope that we were coming back. And so I think there was just like a lot of those ups and downs. But, having a team, that's what gets you through when you are with a bunch of like-minded people that, you're all striving for the same thing, and coming back together. And I think that that's just the biggest, the thing that got us all through the pandemic. And again,
what kind of like creative things did you have to think about? And I saw like a few of your athletes were throwing the ball in the ocean in their wetsuits and with the waves. I mean, I know that was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing that they're doing that. But like, share with me, like, if you would, some of your training techniques that maybe you help some of your athletes learn to adapt so that they could continue to train without a pool or without their team.
Yeah. So I wrote, there were a few places that still had pools open for a little bit. So I was writing, swim sets and leg sets for pools, but of all varying lengths. Some people were in backyard pools that were too shallow to egg beater. So it was just straight,
And that's when your legs go like this, right? We've talked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some are in lakes. And so I'm like trying to figure out writing swim sets without times, but they're based upon, uh, you know, you swim hard for 2 minutes, rest for 1 minute, or egg beater, or, if you're in a lake, but you can't swim, just like all of these different variables, and just
Yeah.
like, how do I write workouts? And then the athletes without water, coming up with bike workouts, because the riding a bicycle is almost as close as you can get to that egg beater movement,
Okay.
when you're on land, versus having access to water. But my favorite, I think, was the goalie training,
Mhm.
and using yoga balls, to activate their core. They're a very unique position.
Right.
And then they had to recruit a family member to throw tennis balls at them, and giving them, working on their reaction speeds, while still using their core, keeping their legs strong, and so those were really fun.
Yeah. And sounds like challenging for you as a coach to have to rethink what is obviously comes very easy when you're putting together a practice or training that you've been doing it for so long, but then you're having to rethink about ways to be creative.
Oh, yeah. And it was, normally I really enjoy putting together a workout. It makes sense. This is what we need to work on. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to get there. And it was definitely challenging my creativity in ways that I haven't had to have my
Yeah.
water polo brain challenged in a long time. So
Well, hopefully there won't be another global pandemic where you'll have to use these again, but at least you have them if you need them, right?
I have a set of workouts that will take me through if we have another.
Just for this reason.
Yes.
Back up a little bit. You haven't always been a water polo coach, which I think is something very unique about you. But tell me just a little bit about how you got here and kind of like what led you to really find this passion for coaching these young women.
Yeah. So I came out of my collegiate career and I thought that I was done, like dipped my toe in masters water polo a little bit. And then I was approached by my younger brother's high school, and they asked me to take on, helping out with their high school water polo programs. And I was like, nope, not interested, not interested. And long story short, they got me out on the deck.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. This is so much fun. But decided that I wanted to go to law school. So I go to law school. I'm in a joint program getting my law degree and my master's at the same time. And the water polo coach at the University of Arizona left. And I was like, well, I can do that. And so I stepped up. I got the job for the women's program. And I did really, really well with that team the first year, well enough that the men turned around and asked me if I would also take over their program.
Just tack it on, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, of course, I said yes.
Uh-huh.
And so now I'm coaching the men's and women's water polo program. I am in law school, and I'm also working on my master's. And the school newspaper picked up on this feat and asked me how I was coaching while I was going to law school. And I said, better question, how am I going to law school? I'm coaching.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I realized, wait a minute, my priorities are a little bit mixed up right now. I did finish law school. I did practice for 8 years as a lawyer. But the whole time I was still coaching. I was looking for that university that was going to be my home. So after Arizona, ended up at De Anza College in the South Bay. And then I went up to the University of the Pacific in Stockton and was there for a few years. And then down to the University of California at Berkeley for 2 years. And then this job opened up and I was like, that's where I'm supposed to be. And I got the job and I cannot be more grateful for it because it's the perfect fit for me. I went to law school because I wanted to help women. And and here I am every day working with women and helping them become, better humans and helping them to become successful in whatever their passions and goals are. And I get to do that every single day with every young athlete that walks through, onto the pool deck, and through and until their graduation. It's just a much better fit for who I am.
When I come to watch your team, and it's so much fun because I still don't understand the rules. I still don't understand why the refs wear all white. There's so many things, but what I do know when I see you is just how much you care for your players and how much they really care about each other and about your program. And I know that that's been something you've had to work and build and create when you came here. And so, as someone myself who kind of was around the same time that you started and going through similar things of really building the team and the culture that you want, what have been some of those things that you've really tried to build in the water polo program since you took over?
I think when I came in, one of the biggest struggles that we had is they didn't, the team didn't know how to communicate.
Mm.
They didn't understand, you know, that uh, that there's an intensity when you're competing,
Right.
and if you're yelling at a teammate, it's like I want you to drive, I want you to be here, give me I need that pass, over here rather than over there. It's not because they're mad at you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because we're competitive people with this intense drive and we're in the heat of the moment and we all want to do better. And I think that was really hard to kind of get through. That initial group was like, how do you communicate with one another when you are competing? How do you communicate with each other when you're not in the water? What are good and healthy ways of bonding with your teammates, and I think a lot of that, it just comes down to communication. And so that was a really, I would say, one of the biggest obstacles. And now it's something that we're always talking about. And now in every practice, you know it's not just one or two coaches, Amanda and I, giving feedback. Every single one of my players, doesn't matter if you're a freshman, junior, sophomore, freshman, it does not matter where you fall. They're going to be giving their teammates feedback. Hey, like, if you do this, this is going to work out better. Your hand was this way. If you can, shift it, take this angle away, I no longer have that shot. At the same time, they're going to, they're going to put that shot away first, and then they're going to say,
Yeah, of course, of course.
but that's just really fun. And, I love those moments where I can step back. Um, I can step back as a coach and I can let them do it because that's what they're going to be doing in a game.
Right.
And I think you had this conversation with Graham in, one of the previous coffee with coaches, was, as a soccer coach, you step back and you don't get a lot of time to sub or to bring in the huddle or any of those kinds of things. And that's what I want as a water polo coach. I kind of just want to be on the periphery because I want to have taught, my team everything that they need to know, so that in the middle of the game, they can call the plays. That's my ultimate goal. Someday I'm just going to be sitting in a chair with my leg crossed, still probably be screaming, still probably be clapping my hands, but that's when I know that I've gotten, if I can just hand it over to the team.
Yeah. What challenges do you get to look forward to conquering in the next couple of months as a result of not have had that opportunity to compete like your counterparts?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that based upon, so we're CSUMB is part of the CCAA, which is a Division II conference. Water polo does not compete within a Division II conference. We compete against Division I teams. They make up probably about 50% of the teams that we play every season. We play a couple of Division III schools every year. And then our conference play is mostly Division II. And so every year we're kind of looking down, at a game schedule of mostly Division I schools.
Right.
And so I think that that's taught us what we need to know coming into this next year. It is about the tenacity, it's about the grind, and you can't come to CSUMB, as you said, without having both of those attributes.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to work, and you got to know, like, we're not going to step into the pool and be the upper dog. Most of the time we're going to be the underdog,
Mhm.
and that's fun.
Yeah.
For me, I love that challenge.
Mhm.
So this next year we're looking at our conference, and all but one other school in our conference has been playing for a year. We all know that. We've been talking about it for the last semester.
Right.
And we're each athlete, we had individual meetings last week, and we talked about, what they needed to do in order to come in the fall. A lot of it's just making sure that they're getting access to pools finally. Most of them have been out of the water for, by the time August rolls around, they'll be out of the water for 18 months.
Mhm.
So how do we set ourselves up for success? And that's getting back in the water, getting back into shape, making sure that we're not going to hurt ourselves once we get back into full contact and competing. And then it comes game time. And I think when as soon as that ball drops and that whistle blows, nothing in the last 18 months is going to matter. Like, we're going to be ready to go.
Yeah. Experience talking with my team the past couple weeks even is just the sense of, yeah, we didn't get that year, but we are so much more full of gratitude and urgency because of it.
Yeah.
That maybe it's actually the best thing that could have happened to reignite some of those feelings that, as you know, being an athlete and now being a coach, is really easy to forget to compete and train with that sense of urgency all the time, and not just when something's on the line, and I think that that's hopefully something all of our athletes really learned and took from this past year.
Yeah, I think that we all realize that everything can be taken away in a single moment.
Yeah.
And how do you continue to move forward, and what other passions can you lean on? And that's something that I've always, one of my values as a coach is to make sure that each one of our players not only is pursuing their academics and their water polo, but what are your other passions? What else feeds you? The great majority of water polo athletes, probably the same for volleyball, is they're not going to go pro. They're not going to go to Europe. They're not going to play. So what are you going to do when you graduate? Or what are you going to do when you get hurt and you need to find something else that you got to lean on? And so, with all of that talk over the last 5 years with the team, I think that each one of the players did find that one little thing that they could lean on to help them get them through, so that, you're not just wallowing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are, going to come back and realize all that, all the opportunity that we have, and be really gracious and grateful that we get to play water polo now. We get to get in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, I really do love learning about water polo. I know I joked earlier, I still don't know what goes on out there, but it's so exciting. And I just want anyone that's watching this, that if they have not come to watch your team compete, they need to, because it is unlike anything I've ever seen. So before I get to my little this or that game, which I know you're super excited about, just tell me a little bit about the energy that you guys have out there come game time, and the community. I know the community is so important to you. The campus environment, the staff and faculty support. You guys have a ton of support from so many different areas just around. Anyone who hasn't been out to the Otter Tank, correct? Yep. I almost call it the Kelp Bed, but that's mine. The Otter Tank. Tell me a little bit about that, what you've built out there in regards to the support for your program.
Well, there's a lot of water polo history in Monterey Bay. Mm-hmm. And we have local club programs that are growing and developing. High schools are adding water polo, which is really super exciting. We have new lights at the pool, so we're able to have night games. And then our CSUMB family, they pack the stands. One of my favorite moments ever, it was when we won a game in the last 1.8 seconds and the volleyball team stormed the pool. That is a first in my career.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But that's the kind of energy that we get out at the Otter Tank. Oh, you also had a volleyball player running behind the cage
With a branch or a tree.
with the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just happened to be our cage that we were trying to shoot on, and she was distracting our players. So after she realized that,
That probably didn't happen again, but yeah.
it didn't happen again. But it's just, that's great. I mean, that's what we want. That energy, is the louder the kelp bed gets, the louder the outer tank gets, the more excited our players get. It's our CSUMB family that carries us, that allows us to fight with those Division I teams that, somebody says that we've got no chance, and we give them we take them down into the fourth quarter.
Wow. And it's so exciting. And I will say that is probably one of my most cherished memories of being a coach here, is watching my players get ready to jump into the pool, and me just I vividly remember telling a few of them, just don't jump on anyone. And also, none of you are great swimmers, so don't go too far from the edge of the pool. But yeah, but I agree. That's the kind of CSUMB family that, we have here, and it's so special, and I can't wait for that to happen again.
Yeah,
special version of this or that, all water themed.
I'm very excited about this.
Are you really, or are you going to have a hard time choosing?
As I might have mentioned, I'm a Libra, and this is probably going to show very true.
Okay. Well, we'll find out here. A lake or an ocean?
Whichever's warmer.
So you're going to be that person.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. All right. Surfing or kayaking?
Whichever's warmer.
Oh, no, you cannot use it again.
I love surfing. I love the going out on the water, and the power of the ocean. I love being humbled by the ocean. I also love catching a wave and being able to ride it all the way in.
Salmon or trout?
Salmon.
Me too. I'm gonna, I think you're gonna find a way to get around this one, but wetsuit or no wetsuit?
It's gonna be no wetsuit, because if I need a wetsuit, I'm probably not getting in.
Okay. Fair. All right, last one. A beach sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Yeah?
One of my bucket list items is to see the sunrise and the sunset over water in the same day.
Wow. Okay. Well, hope that gets accomplished. That would be pretty cool. Well, Emily, thanks for chatting with me, and it's always so great to hear from you, and just your love for this place and for your team is so obvious, and it's contagious. So I thank you for just being that light for so many people, me included, because it is something that I really admire about you as a human. Coach aside, I think you just bring that to so many people. So thank you for that. Thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of Coffee with Coach, brought to you by Captain Stoker Coffee. I'm Mel Melhart with CSUMB Volleyball. Have a great day. Emily, thanks for being here, and go Otters.
Go Otters.